All right, Glenn, we are live, ready to go,
Mm-hmm.
ready to talk some Ravens and NFL news in general. Guys, we're excited for you to log in. It's been a few days. Hopefully you guys liked the interview with Coach David Robinson. Make sure you go check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, we got to have him on again, man. That guy is a wealth of knowledge, and that was cool hearing. I mean, the fact that he was leaving LSU's pro day, driving home, shows really how tuned in he was. And then the fact that he talked about how he was getting ready to start a camp with Keith Williams before the Ravens scooped him up and gave him a full-time position. That was also cool to give a little insight on what those coaches bring.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a ton of good information in that to unpack. We realized that the video quality wasn't always the best. So apologies for that. But of course, him being on the road, being a busy guy, we appreciate him just logging in. But yeah, go check it out. Certainly. A lot of questions answered there. I like that one of the things that I like, Glenn, I don't know what your thought was, but he was very specific on what our guys need to work on. Specifically with James Prochet and Devin Duvernay. And that to me is good because he's not keeping any secrets. He's telling these guys exactly what he's telling us. He's letting them know what they need to work on. He understands what it is that they need to work on. And I'm sure he's making that very clear to them if he's making it clear to us. Right.
Absolutely. And just so everyone knows, we were kind of, we were mistaken in not pointing out because we've had him on before where we went kind of more into the backstory of who he's worked with and what. So you're not going to hear a lot about Miles Boykin because when we last talked to him, he said he hadn't worked with Miles Boykin. So we didn't make that clear in the last episode, but we did the first time we had him on. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew why we don't really bring Miles up very much at all. So, but if we could start, I want to start first about talking about Sammy Watkins and his press conference that he had. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah. People are hot and cold about it, I feel like.
About the presser?
Yeah.
Well, I know that he caught some criticism because, of course, just like anything, if you piece up and you take clips or just quotes from it and you don't see the full context, that you can draw different conclusions. And some people said, like he was asked about, for instance, Lamar Jackson's evolution as a passer. And I actually have a quote here. He said, to be honest, everybody wasn't getting open. We can blame the OCs, but as players, we have to do our job. And I think some people took that as maybe a slight to the existing receivers already on the core. And, I think they took it as like a shot to those guys. And I mean, when you listen to the full interview, he sounds like the absolute nicest guy, a guy that just gets it, a guy who just understands that everyone has a role to play. Mm-hmm. Not everyone's going to be the star. Not everyone's going to be Lamar or his previous team. Not everyone's going to be Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce. But they go out there and they play for each other. He kept saying that. We go out there and play for each other as brothers. Whether you're catching all the touchdowns or I am, as long as it's leading to wins on the scoreboard, that's all that really matters. Mm-hmm. So to me, I didn't take it as a shot. I took it him just being honest. But what were your thoughts on that quote?
Yeah, I liked it a lot because one of the things that's important about what he said was, you have to know your role. Any championship team knows your role. Like every coach says this, but I feel like they always have clips of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady back in the day when they're together, just saying, do your job, right? Mm-hmm. Just do your job. And when you have a team that each player understands their role, in big moments, role players make a big impact. And Sammy Watkins made big plays and had big games in both of their playoff runs both of the Super Bowl runs and even in the Super Bowl. So when you have guys that understand what their role is and they're, like you said, they're going to work for each other, not for themselves, it breeds championship, at least, games and opportunities, Super Bowl runs. I mean, I think that that to me is what stuck out. He just gets it. Yeah, he gets it. I love that. And Nana she's one of our patrons, and she was in our comments as well. We put up we try and do daily, but we do a few times a week. We have a post up on our Patreon. You guys can go check it out. But the article or the blog that I put up was titled "This Guy Gets It." Because that's what I kept feeling about Samuel. That's what I kept feeling when I was watching. I found myself saying, "This guy gets it" when he was talking during the presser. But of course, Nana here says, Sammy didn't lie. Our wide receivers need to do their jobs.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
some people were questioning whether they were, in fact, coming up short in their jobs, or if it was more the system that was failing them and not developing them in the passing game in general. I think that was the criticism. But to me, it was cool to hear. It was cool to hear Sammy Watkins actually throw some praise the way of Greg Roman and actually seem excited to get back into this offense, which is, quite the opposite of what we're hearing nationally. If you just turn on NFL Network, it's the doom and gloom and right. No wide receiver wants to come here. But he said, look, I've had my best season under Greg Roman. And what I thought he stressed, and I don't think enough people are talking about it, is the fact that they did a good job, and I think he's going to expect to have that done here, is they did a good job of limiting his reps, because he's a guy who goes 110 miles an hour, 110% all the time. And he said, those guys need to protect me from myself, because that's just all I know to do is to go, 100 miles an hour, and limiting my, reps in practice and not making me run 500 routes every practice and not making me. They were able to keep him healthy, and that's how he accredited them for having the 16-game full season that he was able to accomplish in Buffalo. I'm pretty excited to hear that he thinks this offense will lead to him being on the field more often, and this coaching staff will do a better job of keeping him healthy, and of course the training staff is going to take a big part in that. But yeah, just awesome to hear that he was excited that Greg Roman was here, and not, of course, I mean, I guess some point is you got to wonder what he's, everybody does a little bit of coach talk and all that stuff, but it seemed genuine to me. But more importantly, man, was he pumped to see Keith Williams here? I mean, my goodness, talk about what he said about Keith Williams a little bit.
Yeah, man, I love the way that he talked about how Keith can really take any player, no matter what their size, strength, or weaknesses are, and get the most out of them, because I think that is, to date, the most important acquisition, the two most important acquisitions in T. Martin and Keith Williams that we've made. I'm excited about Zeitler, and that was obviously a necessary piece. But to be able to have these coaches who Sammy said, he can take a 4.8 guy and help him with separation and things like that. I think that this is going to have a huge impact on two players specifically. Not that it won't on all of them, but I feel like Hollywood Brown and Miles Boykin, big time. Miles Boykin all the way. Like, it's funny because Bill Seals, of course, said we don't talk about Miles Boykin because he makes us sick, which is pretty funny and understandable. But I think for Miles, who has all the physical gifts, adding a guy like this that will help him become more of a technician and get everything out of him that he can is really exciting. And so, yeah, Sammy feels comfortable here. And then to add on to that, Glenn, you remember when he was talking about just the environment, he walked in the building.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't even talk to coach yet. I'm walking around talking to people, and they're like, is it like this every day? Like, oh yeah, John brings it every day. Right? Like, man, that is so awesome. I love hearing that. And then just as an addition to your comment, I think some people hear about something as simple as holding yourself back, and they kind of poo-poo it, and they're like, yeah, well, it's easy to hold yourself back, right? It's not. Really experienced, and the only reason I can tell you this is because really I'm learning from like really experienced runners. The hardest thing in the world to do is like baseline running, because every day you get out there, you want to race yourself,
right?
And like just taking a step back and going through something without killing yourself, right? Not running every race is so hard to do. And so as a world-class athlete like Sammy, to be able to learn that throughout his career, I think is going to make a world of difference. And he even talked about he's excited to get in, talk to the training staff as well. But this whole interview, man, was packed with gems, I thought.
Yeah, he seems like a guy that we're going to be seeing a lot of in the upcoming season, because he's good with that mic in front of him. He seems like a real personable guy, and just a guy that's going to fit right into this fun-loving locker room that they already have and keep the mojo going in the right direction.
Well, let me ask you this one real quick too about the interview. I thought it was really interesting that, to me, he sounds like a 35-year-old vet, right?
He does sound older.
He's 27 years old.
Very mature. Yep. Yeah, very mature. And I was also encouraged to hear that he's not looking at this as just a 1 year and then get out of Dodge. He's looking at this as 1 year, prove, what he needs to prove as far as being on the field and staying healthy, and then looking to possibly end his career here. I mean, that was kind of cool to hear him say that this isn't just a stepping stone like we see, plenty of college coaches use smaller programs or programs that not everybody wants to go to and build a career. And then who's just left Texas Tech and went on to Texas and had the Texas Tech AD mad as fire that he left there. He said that he didn't leave here because he wanted more fans, because we're going to go there and we're going to bring more fans than they're going to have there in Texas. So I know that this doesn't look like a leaping point, where he's
Right.
going to come here, put on a good show, and look to get out of town. He's looking to stay here in Baltimore. So I'm excited to hear that. And it's just cool to see that even though he's only 27, it's no doubt he's bringing that veteran leadership that we said was desperately needed through free agency. You can't find veteran leadership through the draft. You can find a lot of things in the draft, but you cannot find veteran leadership. So it's cool to see that at just 27 years old, he's definitely mature beyond his years.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That was awesome. Let's see here. Billy Seals mentions everyone. Yeah, everyone talks about the Giro Sammy connection, but Rex Ryan was his head coach in Buffalo. He sounds like he gets the culture. Yeah, that as well. That's a great point.
Because we got his brother right on staff.
Right. There's so many connections here. And Sammy even talked about that with all the way down from John having worked for Andy Reid.
Yeah. No doubt.
So tons of connections here. I think it's going to be super familiar for him. I'm really excited for him to get incorporated into, 100% into the Ravens culture, the Ravens locker room, the Ravens workout routine, all of it. And obviously, all the practice time and stuff like that. Another shout out to another Ravens player. I don't know if you saw the tweet where our boy J.K. Dobbins was looking swole. Put out the.
I know that makes you proud.
Oh my man, I had to mention it. Straight plant power right there, baby. His shoulders were looking like bowling balls, man. So I'm excited to see JK.
Gigantic, and he looks determined, man. Like he wants to set that record for a third straight year. He wants to be number one in rushing and even outdo what he did last year. And I don't think there's any doubt he'll have a better season even than he did last year because he's going to have increased opportunity. So it's really cool to see it. And man, as soon as I can give up them burgers, Jimbo, I had some burgers on the grill last night, Jimmy. I know you don't want to hear this with your, the plant-based, but I might have to jump on the bandwagon, man. You never know. I mean, you might be able to swing me in that direction. I'm trying to go to ground turkey, in the spaghetti, in the tacos.
One step at a time, man.
We've done that, but yeah, maybe we'll work our way because, man, Dobbins is certainly a good billboard for plant life, isn't he?
Yeah, no kidding, man. Yeah, he's right there under me.
He's a little above you, Jimbo.
No, obviously. But obviously the title of the show, we're going to do our first mock. Now we were initially going to do round 1 and 2, but we're going to give you guys a bonus round.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise. We're going to do rounds 1, 2, and 3. That's about as deep as our scouting and our breakdown has gone. So of course we're going to do an entire, we're going to do probably more than one, but at least one entire 7-round mock.
And what would be cool, Jimmy? I'm just throwing this at you in the fly. We haven't even discussed this before the show. Maybe we can get some of our buddies on from the AFC North and do this a roundtable mock draft, and we can see what the Steelers, Bengals, and Browns might be doing by inviting some friends. I think that would be a really interesting show, but let us know what you guys think about that. But definitely do the first 3 rounds this time, but we're gonna eventually progress to a full 7-round mock, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. No, and then of course we're gonna do a full first round where we're picking, because last year I think did we hit on 13 or 18, something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was near 20.
We
were knocking
13,
it out of the park.
13 guys right, but 18 first rounders is I think what we got right. It was
something
like
okay.
that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we got 13 position and people right, and then 18 actual first rounders. It was pretty awesome. So that'll be a ton of fun as well.
Correct me. Who nailed the Ravens pick as far as position and who got it wrong? And
Position you got right. Yes, you got right. The running back of the defense we took in the first round. Count on the Ravens to do that. Yes, you're right. Go back and check this.
Look, you gotta beat me this year. I'm gonna keep bringing it up. It's never gonna go away.
Man.
Okay?
I know you beat me last year in that. You beat me last year in Pick'em.
Man, I'm on a roll here. I'm on a roll.
I know.
But yeah. So do we jump right into it?
You want to get into it? Oh,
yeah,
really quickly though.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about Sam Darnold? All right, folks. If you don't know, Sam Darnold's going to the Panthers. Yeah. Does it move the needle for you?
Well, quickly, I'll just say I was impressed by the haul that they got. Shout out to Joe Douglas, former member of the Ravens scouting staff for a long time. I think he did a heck of a job getting, because at first the first was like they got a 6-round pick and 2 picks in 2022, and I'm like, oof, that's not that great, because you think, I mean, somebody's going to take a shot on him, and you could at least think you might get a 6-round comp if he signs elsewhere to be a backup, because the price of backups, especially a young one, is still elevated compared to most positions. But the fact that they got a 6th this year, a 2nd and 4th next year, I thought excellent job by Joe Douglas and the Jets, because I wasn't sure how much value that guy had left, and some of it's obviously not his fault when they had put such a crappy team around the guy, and it was just in shambles, and then it was just a disaster. The head coach, I don't think Adam Gase will ever get another shot at being a head coach. He just seems, I don't know, something looks off with that guy. When I look that guy in the eyes, something's missing. So I wouldn't.
He reminds me of Wormtail from Harry Potter for some reason. Remember the rat that would convert into a human and then back into a rat? He's the one that actually he's the one that everyone thought that Sirius Black gave up Harry's parents, but it was actually him.
You're gonna get killed. Look, you know too much about Harry Potter.
Anyway, look up Wormtail. Just the way that he moves his eyes back and forth makes me think of Adam Gase.
Okay. Yeah, he does look crazy, though. He's got crazy eyes. Let's just call it what it is. But yeah, so I thought it was a heck of a job by them by getting the amount of value they did get. And then the Panthers, they had Teddy Bridgewater. To me, he's a backup. I know a lot of people are high on him. He's a backup in my opinion. So I think that the ceiling on Darnold, we still don't know what it is, because he just had such shambles around him. He had the bout with mono that kept him out a whole bunch of weeks in his rookie year, I believe that was, which I think definitely stunted his growth. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to them. And then really a 2-year deal, basically it's a 2-year deal with him for $23 million is what's remained on his contract. I mean, I don't think you're gonna be able to find a veteran quarterback that's willing to play for that kind of money. So yeah, they weren't in range to get one of the guys, one of the top guys in this draft. So at the very least, it's a stopgap for the next 2 years, and they can go and attack the draft if they don't like what they get.
And it'll be interesting to see if Teddy Bridgewater, they allowed him now to go out and seek a trade. It'll be interesting to see what his market looks like. Because he had a decent year last year. Now,
who's that? Teddy?
Teddy Britt, yeah. He had
such a monster offensive team around him. I mean, of course, Christian McCaffrey was hurt, but Mike Davis, I believe it's Mike Davis, did a pretty darn good job filling in for him. And then DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson really took off, went over 1,000. So we'll see, but they have a heck of an offensive staff, and a staff that really, I think, will build correctly around Sam Darnold. And
the last thing I'll say about Sam is that he was a true freshman when he started. So similar to Lamar in that, he's not a 27-year-old rookie, or I'm exaggerating, being a little hyperbolic here, but like Baker and Joe Burrow were, I think, 25, 26
transfers
around there. Yeah. Transfers and then red shirts. So you got, 6-7 years in college where, Sam Darnold was 3 true years. Lamar was 3 true years. And so he's young. I mean, he's still a relatively young guy. We'll see if there's any meat left on the bone as far as his development and progression in the NFL. It'll be really interesting to see what Matt Rule does down there with him. Because I'm assuming they're expecting him to be the starter, right? Like they're not trading
there's no
for
doubt.
him.
They're trading Teddy Bridgewater as soon as they get any kind of an offer. So
that'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, you ready to get into this?
Yeah, we know what they all really came
for. Tell you what.
Right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, let me just say, I did some mocks, and I get just as pissed off in these mocks as I do when I'm watching the first round, because when I see a guy I was hoping for get snatched right away, especially if it's like the Steelers doing it, like, son of a...
You're talking about in like a simulator?
In the simulator, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, I did a couple simulators, and man, I was getting frustrated with my computer. I'm about to fold this thing up.
Yeah, the opposite way, just...
Exactly. Yeah. So
no, I'm totally with you. Because in the simulators that I did, my guy Quiddy Pay was gone every single time.
Yeah.
So
I like him. He's what, the number 2 rated outside pass rusher right now, according to Bucky and all those guys at NFL Network. So yeah, it's gonna be tough to see him go, but as long as you put that speed down, you might get a little itchy trigger finger and look to trade up. I could see you, if he falls to 22, you might be looking to move.
Yeah, so the way we're going to do this is I'm going to share the screen with you guys right now. We have the Pro Football Focus simulator, the draft simulator. Now I have the speed all the way down. Glenn, I have it on slowest. Does that work for you?
Yeah, I don't know how slow. Here, let me see actually, because I have it up as well. And let me just see how slow it really is. Okay, there we go. Oh, you can always adjust the speed.
Oh, cool.
It live, yeah. You just have to pause it, and then the top left you'll see open settings, and you can slow it down if it's going, or speed it up if it's going too slow.
All right, cool. So what we're gonna do then is we're gonna select the Ravens first and second and third round pick. Now the only thing I want to ask you here, Glenn, is that we're going to make because I have guys that I want to take, based on who I think will be available. This simulator is going to be different. So are we going to come to a consensus on a pick and put a pick in?
I think we're going to do is argue our way to a consensus.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. Oh gosh. So I got a handful of guys.
It's like Price is Right. I was just watching a little bit of Price is Right earlier today. By the way, Drew Carey has a massive beard now.
I know.
Massive. I know. But anyway, so the crowd yells,
yeah,
500. Yeah. So if we see we're going to address some of the comments too. So let us have it in the comments. If there's a guy that's out there and you're hoping we get it, let's see the comments and we'll definitely check them out and talk about them. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So let's get this thing rolling. I'm going to
see if
I can get this up. And all right, let me make sure I got this right here. Bam.
There
all right.
it is.
Looking good.
Yeah. Let me blow this up a little bit here.
Okay. All right.
Oh, there we go.
I'm going to enter this draft, guys. We are officially in.
Man. All right. Now, I'm nervous, Jimbo.
All right. I'm going to hit start. Now, we already know where they're going, but where Jags are going.
I don't think there's any mystery here.
All right.
All right. Here we go. All right. Trevor's off the board.
Lawrence,
now, let's see what the simulator. Okay. That's good. This is good because earlier they didn't have Zach Wilson.
Lance, look at that.
Now, that would be interesting. I think it's between him and Mac Jones at that spot.
Now, I'm going to pause this real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna slow it down actually. Oh, I do have it on the slowest. Sorry, I thought.
Yeah, so it's still pretty fast. Yeah, I had it all the way up. It was like,
oh crap.
So would you mess it up? You
restart it over on us. All right.
Watch, it's gonna change it all
Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, let's see. Zach Wilson.
Justin Fields.
Okay, a little curveball. Okay, there's Zach Wilson. All right. Nothing crazy. I think we all know that these guys will all be gone in the top 10. All these guys.
Pitts at 5.
Oh, that would scare the heck out of me. I don't want to have to deal with him twice a year.
There's Chase.
Hey, pause it real quick. I got a quick question for you.
Okay, pause.
There's a lot of people criticizing Mac Jones. They say he had such a great team around him. They said, how can you evaluate him when he had such a how in the world were we able to evaluate Joe Burrow? He had Jefferson go last year. We saw how good he was at Minnesota. And now we see Waddle and
not Waddle, Chase.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jamar
and Marshall.
Chase and Marshall. How can we evaluate? I mean, you're talking 3 first-round talents, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire was behind him. I mean, maybe that's just me, but I feel like Mac Jones is getting a little bit crucified by, maybe a little unjustly, but that's just my little soapbox there.
So we'll get through this one, and then we'll pause for a second just to kind of see the state where we're at. We'll get through the first 10. Does that work for you?
Go ahead. Yep. Let's see what we got. See if there's any surprises. Oh,
there's my guy, man. Quincy Rochet off the board at number 10. That's the highest I've seen him taken in the simulators I've done so far. So
was he the first edge?
First edge off the board.
First edge, man.
Yeah. And so let's see. We got 1, 2, 3 wide receivers, 1 tackle, 1 tight end.
No corners yet. Interesting.
No corners. 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah, now that's no surprise. I think there's no doubt that 4 will go. I think some are thinking 5 may even go if Mac Jones, because a lot of people are expecting Mac Jones to be the 3rd pick and actually Zach Wilson to be number 2.
Listen, if Mac Jones gets to number 9, there's no way that Elway doesn't pull the trigger because he's John Elway.
And he's desperate to find a quarterback. I mean, really, let's be honest. He's done nothing at quarterback outside of recruiting Peyton Manning. That's it.
Yeah, right. So if him or Trey Lance, if one of those two get to 10, he's going to say, throw out the whole playbook. I'm taking one of those two.
Yeah, my only question is, do the Patriots get gutsy and go after Mac Jones? Because to me, he fits perfectly in that system. Belichick looks for decision makers. I don't think you're finding a better decision maker than Mac Jones. The guy, set the record for completion percentage. I mean, he always goes the right direction with the ball.
Elway isn't the GM anymore.
Is he not? That would shock me. I don't. I mean, even if he isn't, he's making the decisions. What is he, the president of player? He's got to be. He's there. I know he's still in Denver. So
right. I mean, he is Denver. He is the Broncos.
Yeah, he's going to be there until he decides he's leaving.
Right. No, for sure. Okay, so we're done with the first 10. Let's do another 5 and we'll keep going. But you can scratch Quiddy Pay off the board for me at least.
Yeah, you're not able to trade up for him. Sorry.
Yeah, we're not going to 10. Let's be honest. Okay, so that's your first corner. Another corner.
Here
so
comes a run of corners. Now, I
Yep.
would love to see a run of corners go because we
Yep.
all know we ain't taking a corner. Oh, look at that. Fairly. Now,
another
he's got
corner.
a lot of medical concerns, so it's interesting to see him going at 14.
Oh, did I say 5 or 10? We'll go to 20. That's fine.
Okay.
Micah Parsons. All right.
Yeah, the speedster.
This guy I liked, Barmore.
Oh, see, I like the Z's
There
too.
he goes.
Who is it?
There goes Mac Jones all the way to 19. So the Patriots didn't bite.
Tell you what, man, if they could get him with Ryan Fitzpatrick as the vet in front of him, of course, I'm sure Ryan is like, gee, every single place I go, I got to compete with a young guy. But he would be a perfect guy to show Mac Jones the ropes of the NFL. I mean, man, that would be a nice ad. But look, another corner at 20. So how many corners just went?
So I think
4?
4. I think there was just let's see, 10, 11, 14, and
no, 11, 12, 14.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad. 11, 12. Right. You're absolutely right. 14 and then 20.
So let's go corners. The corners and quarterbacks. Who else are we rooting to go? Who are we definitely not?
The interior defensive linemen, right? Like I feel
think
like
that's safe. Yeah, that's safe to say. Okay.
And then I mean, if there's I don't know if there's any because I haven't looked at them because we're not gonna draft one. Any stud inside line or inside linebackers.
Well, Micah's already gone. He's the big one. Micah Parsons from Penn State. He's the speedster. So, but I'd like to see more interior linebacker. There's no doubt we're not going inside.
All right, we're going to go down to 25. Now this is getting interesting.
Right,
of course, like you said, the Steelers are going to be on the board at 24. So we'll go down to 25 and see how it goes here.
I'm predicting Najee Harris for them. I think that will be. There goes Bateman. I know that's going to make some people upset. And Rondale Moore. Another guy some people were hoping to take, Kadarius Toney.
So here go the wide receivers. Jalen Phillips, I know that was one of your guys.
Oh, I don't like that.
Oh, let me pause.
That bums me out, man. See, I like Jalen. I feel like he would be the perfect scheme fit. A guy that can drop. He can play the edge against the run, and of course he can pass rush. And just a mature guy who has moves already. And then it's funny to see him go ahead of Gregory, who a lot of people are thinking Rousseau is, has the higher ceiling, a little more raw, but the better overall athlete. But I don't think he's a scheme fit here in Baltimore. I think he's more of a 4-3 guy, right. But interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing Kadarius Toney. I know a lot of people like Toney, but to me, Toney is a better version of Devin Duvernay. So not mad about that. Okay. So let's take a look at who's on the board.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do first here is you want to start with wide receiver and then I'll add to it.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll look at who's available in the wide receiver market. Now,
can you add or do you have to?
I can add as well. Yeah, so I can do wide receiver.
But let's say this: who's our 3 areas of need?
Yeah, so wide receiver, edge,
okay,
and interior offensive lineman is the way.
Let's throw it up there. Let's throw them all up there. See what we got.
All right,
I like it
here. And then edge defender is the way they have it listed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So first thing I see Owe from Penn State, who lit the pro day up.
Yep.
Crazy 40, explosive, fast. While if I remember correctly, a little undersized, he plays big. He's a guy that can certainly hold his own in the run department. But to me, no production.
Yeah.
It just screams ultra athlete that just doesn't do enough.
Yeah. One of the things they said was his side to side movement is nothing, running the 40 doesn't translate for him.
And that's what I don't like to hear. I mean, look, there's no way a guy like that with those type of numbers should have 0 sacks in 2020. I don't care if it's a limited schedule. I don't care if you play 2 games. You better have 1 sack. Right. I mean, come on. So now the other question is, as some people are pointing out in the comments section, I did see before we filtered it, Trevor Mulrig, the safety out of TCU, that a lot of people were projecting to come to Baltimore. We're not even putting him up there. Why is it, do you think that's a no-go?
Well, that's a tough one for me because I think that there's some guys that we could get later in the draft at the same position. But you could say the same thing about interior offensive linemen. We could wait around maybe 2 rounds and get one of the 3 centers that are, I think through round 1 through 3, one of those 3 centers is going to be available at each one of those rounds. I feel pretty confident about that. So yeah, that's a tough one for me. I can add it here. I don't see it as one of our top 3 needs because we have lots there where we have definite holes at center, definite holes at edge rusher, and then everyone wants a wide receiver.
Right. And I agree with you. I just wonder the whole, they always say best player available. if he's the highest guy on their board at this point, that's something that they would consider. I think that the team need certainly always plays a part, even though they want to tell you they always take the best player. I think you look at their draft history and you can tell. Just look at Patrick Queen last year. I mean, everyone, their brother, was expecting a linebacker except for Jimmy. And it's like,
hey, look, let me tell you what. We should have gotten a center. What happened in the Buffalo game? Just saying.
That's true. That's
Just
true.
saying.
Got our guy hurt, no doubt. All right, so let's look at who is there, and let's start making some guesses because
so Elijah Moore to me is out. He's a slot guy. He's too small. We already have three smaller-ish guys.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, you and I don't feel good about. Now, to me, I think that if at this round and at this point in the draft, the guys that I liked on the edge are gone.
Okay. Not a big Basham guy? Okay.
No, I'm not. Not in the. I just feel like it's a little high, a little rich in the first round.
Okay.
So for me, I'm running up to the board. I'm running up to the board, filling out the card with Terrace Marshall.
And you know what? You're not gonna get argument here because that dude wowed me. I watched tape on this guy already. Yep. I've watched, I think, 5 or 6 games on him, and then I watched his pro day live as it was taking place, and the dude is extremely impressive. And when I see the physical abilities, I see that he was the best red zone target in the country last 2 seasons. That's exciting. And then I think about the staff that we have on board with Keith Williams, and I can say, man, you give a guy with these physical abilities, these natural abilities. We always talk about it's hard to teach a guy to high point a ball. You know, a lot of that's just instinct. A lot of that's just something you're born with. Either you can do it or you can't. Well, we know he's got that. Well, he's got the speed. He's got the size. Even if you tell me that his route running needs some polishing, well, we got Keith Williams. We got T. Martin.
On the stuff. We got him on retainer, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is I agree. I think was it who said it in the comments? I think it was King. Said it's a no-brainer. I agree with you, King. It is
all right, so I'm putting in the
no-brainer.
card unless you guys have any objections. Object now or forever hold your peace.
That's right.
Shoot,
Gotta get him.
Because this is the Ravens' actual draft. Just so you guys know, we have a direct line to Eric DaCosta. So,
absolutely. Yeah, he asks us before he turns in the car.
Yeah, you sure, guys? This is the one. Yep, every single time. Every single time. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and draft now. Before I draft him, because it's gonna start going down. For me, I'm looking at. I don't know. For me, I feel like edge. If we didn't get one of these top end guys, we're gonna have to do more in free agency.
And there's still time. Yep.
Right. And or later in the draft. But after this, I'm changing my focus right to those 3 centers: Quinn, Creed, and Landon.
Yeah, I mean, I think it wouldn't be a bad one. I think hopefully one of those guys will still be there. All right, go ahead and turn in the card.
Right, turn in the card.
Turn it in.
Here we go.
Do we get a grade? I don't even know. I'm not sure if we get a grade. But okay, right, let's see what goes. Tevin Jenkins, you like Tevin. Yeah, you said he was a dog out there.
He is. It's a typical Saints pick.
There goes Mo Rig at safety, which is interesting because they got some pretty good safeties up in Buffalo.
Not surprised that they took a tackle at 31 in Kansas City. Not surprised they took a tackle at 32, with an 80-year-old at quarterback.
ETN in New York, they desperately need some help at running back. I agree there. I like Asante going to the Falcons there. They definitely need some help in the secondary. Oh, look at that. Pat, pause it real quick. This is supposed to be baby Gronk. Pat Freiermuth, whatever his name. This guy, I mean, they rave about this guy. They say if Kyle Pitts wasn't here, this would be your number 1 by far. I mean, it's Pitts, then him, and then a huge drop-off is what I'm hearing. I watched some of his pro day as well. The coach was raving about his leadership, raving about him as just a guy. Apparently, he said he wouldn't trade him for a single player in the nation. Now, I know these guys have to say that, but interesting that they're pairing him up next to a pretty good tight end that they already have. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he come from Penn State as well? Gesicki,
yeah.
And he's a Penn Stater as well. So,
but if you talk about baby Gronk, well, I think that Brian Flores hearing about baby Gronk makes him start salivate, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because look, he saw them 2 tight ends in New England and knows what you can do with 2 stout tight ends as long as one of them doesn't. Well, we don't want to go down that road, but yeah. So, all right, cool. Let's keep it going.
All right. So
another corner goes.
It'll be interesting to see who the first center is that comes off the board. All 3 of them are still on the board thus far.
Yeah, that's a good sign for us here in Baltimore. All right, let's see what the Detroit Lions use their pick on.
There's another tackle off the board. That's fine.
Yeah.
Richie Grant, the safety.
Now you said that's fine, but we may have to change our.
That's true. Najee Harris, there he goes to.
Now, see, that's interesting to me. Jacksonville had a stud come out of
undrafted kid. What was his name?
Robinson, was it?
Robinson, James Robinson. Was it James?
I think it was. I'm blank. I don't have the stuff in front of me.
Yeah, he's a Pro Bowler.
He was like 4th in the league in rushing by the end of the season. I remember he was the big trade commodity in most drafts, fantasy leagues. He was the guy everyone was shopping around because they weren't sure if he was going to keep it up. But he's a heck of a player, so it'd be interesting to see them go Najee. Also surprising to see him drop to 45 because to me, I watched Najee. That dude can do everything. I mean, that guy is a stud.
I think the Alabama, the tired rhetoric of guys being worn out and things like that. Obviously, Josh Jacobs is doing well, but I think that
and they changed their system. This isn't the old system where he's bashing them up the middle a bunch of time. Nick Saban. No, he went to an air system, so I wouldn't fault him for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, let's see what we got.
All right, let's see here. So we're coming up soon.
What, 58?
58. Yeah, 58,
and then 104.
There's another edge defender off the board. There's Jason.
Now, see, that makes a lot of sense because they just lost.
But they're going to pair him
Reddick.
with Chandler.
They lost Reddick, yeah.
But they're going to pair him with Chandler and with JJ, man. There's another tackle off the board.
Asai's a good player, too, man. I watched Asai. He was a good player out of Texas, too. He's a little raw, but I liked him.
Elijah Moore, getting him at 51 is value, man.
No doubt. And they need some extra weapons there. They're getting a little older.
We are on the clock, and we are on – Glenn, this is about – look – I'm going to stop the screen share real quick.
Okay.
Because I have a feeling it is about to get heated.
Oh, because you don't need to
we are on the clock, and all 3 centers are available to us at 58. Yeah, unless I'm missing something.
No, you're right. I didn't see.
Let me tell you who I'm crossing off the board right now.
Who's that?
Creed.
What?
Read up on him. His lack of strength, his lack of leverage. The high volume of 3-man rushes in the Big Ten. I don't want it. He's the smallest of the 3. I want a big, strong guy that can move and has man strength. That's right, King. You heard me. I can show you some stuff here if you want. I can do the screen share again, but I didn't like reading some of the things that I read about Creed. No, so I'm gonna screen share real quick again here, Glenn.
Okay. Can I defend my guy?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying necessarily. I shouldn't even say my guy because I watched Landon and I watched Creed. I watched both of these guys. I watched one-on-ones with Creed at the Senior Bowl. I saw him taking a few snaps at guard. I saw him in a lot of his big games in college, both in 19 and in 2020. And let me just see. Okay, here it comes. I'm pulling up my review of him now. I was impressed with the guy. He's got good awareness. I love the fact that his head on a swivel. I mean, a lot of these guys keep their head on a swivel, but this guy, he's always looking to take on and help out his teammates. So I like. Do you want to get to this comment real quick, and then I'll get back to my.
Okay, sure, no problem. So Travis Dial, this is interesting. He talked to Quinn Marnez, I don't even know how to say his last name. He works out with Ben Bredesen and Kevin Zeitler. I like hearing that.
Yeah.
I like hearing that. And this kid is strong, Glenn.
Okay.
This kid is a fire hydrant. All right.
All right. I like hearing that. But let me talk about my guy because I think you're selling him a little short. First of all, he's 6'5", 320. So if you want to tell me he's the smallest guy, I don't think size is going to be an issue for him at 6'5", 320. I mean, that's a big boy, especially at the center position where you can afford to be a little bit smaller than some of the other spots. So
true.
I don't think size is the problem. Another thing, he can anchor against them big DTs. I did not see him get bull rushed back to the quarterback. I did not see that pocket collapsing from within. Now, the one area that he may, I give you that he shows some concern is that he wasn't asked to get out and move his feet very often as far as pulling, as far as getting out in front of screens and stuff like that. Now, I will say I saw him do it against Missouri State, and he did well, but he just doesn't get asked to do it very often. Now, so the question is why? Is that because they don't think he can do it, or is that just how their offense is constructed? I think that's, I did see him calling out some blitzers pre-snap, pointing out an edge blitz. I think it was the corner blitz. He's very quick with his hands, and he's quicker when he needs to be. So if it's a fourth down and they're trying to a quick, run up the middle or QB sneak, he's quick to the snap and boom, back up, and he's blocking. Very, very quick with his hands. I like that about him. To me, he would be a day one starter for the Ravens, but I also looked at Landon.
Yeah.
And
now let me tell you some points real quick though in contrary, because Creed might take us higher, and I'm gonna wear that out till we draft him, just so you know. So get ready, guys.
Okay.
But really quickly here, let's stay on Travis real quick. He says Travis Dial, when talking to him, he also said he prefers guard, but playing center feels natural to him. So it sounds like he doesn't really have a preference if center feels natural to him. But either way, that's great. And it's crazy because there's really not much on Quinn other than really, I mean, pro day is probably where he really upped his draft stock. But what I wanted to say about Creed, and we will get them, Travis, don't worry, is you talked about him handling those big boys up front, right? So
I know where you're going with this.
In the notes, it says he got dominated by the few D tackles that play in the NFL that he faced in the past.
Maybe I was watching the wrong game.
Quentin Williams apparently did serious damage on him.
Quentin Williams. What year was this?
Right. So the only times he's played against NFL DTs, so the two examples they had, Quentin Williams and Bravion Roy, and he got dominated in both of those games. That's a concern for me.
I'm not sure what these games are, but I didn't really see that. Now, I mean, because what I'm seeing, what I'm looking at on when I look up PFF, one of his pros is upper body strength is a plus and can take a nose tackle out of the hole.
And it's crazy because at the same time on PFF, it says had a whale of a time gaining leverage on squatty nose tackles.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a lot to like, a lot not to like. But but
that scares you. You're not a fan of that. Even with our fantastic weight training.
No, I agree with you there. And I will say, and King talked about this, 2,488 career snaps. That's huge.
Come on.
His availability is great. He's going to be a plug in and be a day one starter. Right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be upset. I guess what I'm saying is that with the 3 on the board, he's not my preference.
Well, I can't wait to get to your preference because I got some notes on your preference too there, Jimbo, because I know who your preference is. And you want to talk about some question marks? You want to talk about some red tape? I mean, holy smokes. You want to talk about snap counts? But I'm assuming you're going to go Landon Dickerson. And I understand why you're going to go Landon Dickerson. Before you even go, I'm going to tell you what I think about him because I think he's an obvious beast. He stays busy. He can anchor. He plays with nasty, which I didn't see a lot of from Creed, which I do like seeing. He shows mobility despite the injuries. He showed he can get to the second, even third level on some screens. I saw him blocking safeties down the field, which was really cool to see. But I saw him on his back a couple times. I didn't see Creed Humphrey. Now, I'll give you the fact that one's an SEC guy. And, of course, he's going up against the big boys in the SEC playing down south. So I understand the level of competition, certainly in the interior line. He's playing a lot tougher opponents. So I'll give you that. But I did see him on his back a few times, which worried me. But I do think he does a nice job turning defenders and walling them off. I think he like Creed Humphrey, he keeps his head on a swivel. He's good while double teaming. He doesn't get locked in. He keeps looking for work. So I like him. But Jimbo, I'm going to ask you one question. How do you get past the fact that he's only 4 out of 5 years in his college career, he's had a season-ending injury? How do you get past that?
Well, I'm going to bank on a couple things and hope that this makes a difference for him. When everything, not that it wasn't Alabama, but when everything is about football, from the way you eat to the way you train, and you're on a professional club, as professional as Alabama is, and he was a transfer to Alabama. He didn't play all those years at Alabama. It's still a step up, and I hope that helps with his injury, with his injury history, in that from everything he puts into his mouth to every single second he's in the weight room, it's all going to be about preventing that injury. Preventing that future injury. So I'm hoping that does that. But the reason I overlook it in this case is because, Glenn, if you just read his description, it is ridiculous. I literally called you this morning and said, I'm not on this kid's bandwagon. And then I read all of the scouts salivating about this kid. I just want to read a couple things. Biggest strength, grown man strength is literally what it says. Built like a fridge, industrial size fridge. More pancakes in 2020 than anyone in the country. I mean, this guy can move some humans. The way he approaches every snap is an offensive line coach's dream. I mean, I realize that I think that Creed has a higher floor, but I don't even, if health is not a question, now it's always going to be a question, especially with this guy, then it's really not a question as to which one, if they're both healthy, right? It's really not. I don't think they're in the same league. So I'm taking Landon Dickerson, but the one thing I want to do really quickly, because Travis talked about him, we got to talk about Quinn Meniers or Mirnez.
Yeah, let's get it. And I do want to point out, that, as the commenters point out, that Creed didn't escape, injury completely when he was in college. He did,
but 2,400 snaps is insane.
Yeah, I mean, we get that he got injured, but he showed he could come back from that injury, and he still showed, that he can put together multiple full-length seasons where we haven't seen that from Landon. So I understand he tore his Achilles. I get that. But at this point, I think we can say, he bounced back, and I'm feeling good about him. But look, I mean, I guess that is still a concern. But I mean, it's not like when an Achilles. I mean, you might know more than me, Jimbo, because you're definitely keeping the athlete thing going as you get older, and I'm going more to the lazy boy in the couch. But as an offensive lineman with an Achilles injury, what would you wear? What injury would worry you more? The knee injuries that he's gone through, or the Achilles injuries that Creed has gone through? Or are they both equal?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think the repeated injury for me is a concern. The only thing about the Achilles is that your Achilles is always like your shin is always over your foot every single play. But at the same time, your knee is also bent at lower than a 90-degree angle every single time for the most part. So yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. I don't think with the Achilles, I mean, yeah, you want explosion off the ball, but you're not talking about an NBA player here or wide receiver or something like that.
Exactly.
Right. You're talking about a lineman. So
and let's be honest, how these guys have been coming back? Kobe, how'd he look coming back?
KD,
Kevin Durant,
yeah.
Kevin Durant has not looked at all different since the injury. So I get that it's an issue, but it's not as big of an issue to me as Landon's are. So
it's so funny though with Quinn, literally in PFF. I'm going to share my screen in because this is worth. I mean, you guys are gonna crack up at this. I think. If you see here, oh geez, what'd I do?
Did you just eliminate
There we go.
Okay.
Nope, I got it. So there is literally no logo for his school. That's how small his school is. On PFF, they just have NCAA.
And you talk about being worried about, some quarterbacks, Trey Lance is getting worried about his level of competition. You even point out Creed Humphrey's level of competition. Well, yeah. What's the level of competition with this guy?
Right. That's my concern. And of course the pushback is that he put some guys on their back that are high level interior, highly rated interior defenders at the
at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, Senior Bowl. Thank you. Yep. I kept wanting to say Pro Day, but yeah, at the Senior Bowl. So that shot him up the board, but I don't even think he would have been in the conversation for a top 3-round pick. So yeah, he definitely dominated the Senior Bowl. And I'm sure, Travis, he does work out like a freak, or else I don't think he would have gone from a no-star recruit to a potential first, second, maybe third-round pick in the NFL draft. So that does say a lot about who he is, but I'm not ready to expend a draft on him at that point.
Yeah, I think if we were to go elsewhere with this pick, and then he's still there in the third, now you're talking. But
yeah.
So excuse me, man, that coffee's getting to me. Can we at least let's explore what there is at edge? I think we should at least take a look at that and see what's going on there before we make this decision. Because I think you're leaning towards Landon.
But this is the thing, is that while Landon is a preference, I'm not like, you can sell me on Creed. I'm okay with it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm not.
Now, what about
over?
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Now, should we add safety into the mix?
We can add safety.
Now that we're in the second round?
Absolutely. We can add safety. And maybe should we add tackle? I don't know. I mean, maybe we should think about tackle with I still think Orlando Brown's on his way out. I'm hopeful that he doesn't leave, but I'm still thinking somebody's going to step up.
Creed.
I know. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I think Creed, there's a chance he might be there in the third round. That's the only reason I'm kind of wavering on him. All right, so who's left? So we got a safety. We both looked at Jamar Johnson, and he's interesting because I think he brings some of that coverage ability that we're talking about that we're missing at the safety position. A guy that he's played slot and he's played the deep center field role that we discussed. I don't know if we have a guy quite like him on the roster. And we know that Wink loves the versatility. He'll bring a safety. He loves bringing safeties in on passing downs and putting them in linebacker, putting them in, to guard over the tight end, to even play some slot. And I think he's a guy that if, God forbid, Tavon gets hurt again, which I think, judging by his history, exactly. He's a guy that could fill in and do some of that nickel role. That way you don't have to force Marlon in there, or you don't have to force Jimmy Smith in there. And you could go with a young guy who could build and then also keep, continuing to grow as a center fielder. So he's interesting. It should be hard for me to pull the trigger at safety when I feel good about our safety. I don't feel great about them entirely, but I think that what they bring, I don't think it's an area where I'm willing to spend a second round pick at.
Yeah, and no, I'm with you there as well. Now, really, I think what it comes down to is even with the injuries, Landon Dickerson is still ranked 45th, and Creed is still 70th.
Yeah, I know. I just wish I could have a crystal ball and I could look at their future and just say, can Landon make it? Because if he can't make it through, look, we all know that the NFL season is longer and it just got longer. It's already longer than college and it just got longer, even for a guy like Landon, who was almost guaranteed to be in the playoff and play more than most. But the same time.
So we can trade if we feel like Creed's going to be a couple back.
I think we should trade. Do you think we could trade back and keep Landon and get Landon?
I think, yeah, absolutely. Now, this is the thing is that as it stands right now,
I think we trade back right here. I think you're spot on right there.
That's why Eric DaCosta doesn't fire me, guys. I know you guys saw some. You're throwing me some smoke, but so who are we trading with?
Well, we got to have a history, I would assume. So I'm looking for Eagles. I'm looking for Jacksonville. How about the first pick of the third round, number 65?
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville's got a lot of holes. They're looking to build a team around their brand new quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. I know they picked up some free agents, but let's see what it would take to. Is there a? I'm not sure how to do this. Is there a way?
Yep.
Okay,
so I'm going to go right to Jacksonville. I'm going to go right to pick 65.
Yeah, 65.
And we give them 58.
Okay.
Now, what else are they giving us?
Let's see. Well, we're going to start. Would they accept 145?
All right, and we'll offer this trade.
Let's see what happens.
Trade
not accepted.
Not accepted.
Okay,
now, the reason I think that is because they have, like you said, they have a lot of holes. So I think they would be reluctant to give up a pick.
That's true. They could be reluctant. Okay. All right. Well, let's try.
What about the Jets?
Let's try the.
They're one lower at 66. We have a history with them.
Eagles at 70. We got a long, lengthy history with the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see what they want to go back to 70. And if we could still get a guy like Creed Humphrey at 70, I wouldn't be upset at all. I mean, I don't think there's a guy there that just goes, oh my God, we got to take him. He's a steal here. Now, to me, there's not that guy.
Now, the only problem is that they're in the same boat where they have a lot of holes. So it'll be interesting to see what they're willing.
They got a good backup quarterback in Joe Flacco, so we know that's not a hole.
Okay, so the last one we attempted to get 65 and 145, and this one we're attempting at 70 and 150.
I don't like that because we're going back further now. We're going 12 spots back.
Oh shoot, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But 123 seems rich. What do you think?
Well, let's see what if they refuse it, then we'll work from there. But yeah, you're okay. I expected that.
Well, wait. I didn't do. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't offer it.
There it goes.
Okay.
So we only got. Well, yeah. With each team, we have 4 options. We can stick here and keep working with 70, or we can move around. I mean, so there's some NFC teams in here that I think would be willing to look. The Bucks are in win now mode, right? So what if they like a guy?
They could like a guy. There's no doubt. Let's see what they got. What kind of picks do they have?
So Tampa Bay, let's go to them. They have 64 and 137.
That's interesting. Let's see let's see if they would take that offer.
Hey,
nice. Okay. All right. So we went back a total of 6 spots.
Yep.
And we got an extra pick out of the deal.
Yep.
So I think the Ravens would be. This is a very plausible trade. They want to add picks. I mean, DeCosta said that this is a year where they have less picks than they're accustomed to having. So let's see what. Okay. All right. Let's resume then. That's our move.
So they're on the clock now. The Bucks are on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where they go.
Well, they're not going center.
They're going. I
like that.
Back. Yep.
I like that.
Okay.
Dude! There goes the guy. And look, he goes to Cleveland. That's all right. Now that he's a Brown, he'll get hurt anyway. Let's start bashing him right away.
Now, look, the cool thing is that 2 of them are still there.
Boom. We still got our guy. My guy, Mr. Creed Humphrey, is still on the board.
Should we just take him at this point?
To me, I take Creed Humphrey right here. I don't want to mess around. We just got in the 4th? Is that a 4th round pick? The 130 something that we just grabbed? I think that was in a 4th round pick, if I remember correctly. Yep. So we just got an additional 4th round pick out of the deal, and we're still getting. I think you agree that Creed Humphrey's a starter day 1 if he's in Baltimore, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's not going to lose to Macari in a battle.
No.
Okay.
No, we're gonna go get Creed Humphrey.
We're gonna snatch up Creed.
I feel much better about that at 64.
Yeah. And so now you're telling me we got Terrace Marshall and then Creed Humphrey. If you tell me right now that's our first, and we're getting an additional 4th,
why aren't we the GMs?
You know what, Ozzy, hang it up, Ozzy. I'm taking your seat.
So let's see. They've taken Cox. There goes Quinn at 66 because we continued the run of centers. So that was the run of centers.
Yep.
There's another corner, a lot of tackles off the board, so that's a bad sign if we, of course, need.
Now we still haven't addressed the edge position.
Nope, because we're doing it in free agency, baby.
That's what the hope is.
Yeah.
Now I did see someone tweet out a couple days ago that there's an interesting visit coming to Baltimore. Now, see that guy right there, Tylan Wallace. That's another guy who's very, very interesting. Has all the measurables. What I love about him is he's a physical guy. I want physicality from the receiver position. I'm done with finesse. Those guys get pushed around. Tylan Wallace ain't getting pushed around. And then when I saw his 40 time, unreal. It's a little odd that he doesn't show that separation on tape, but again, I'm relying on Keith Williams, and I think he's going to make that separation happen. So, watch out for Tylan Wallace if he gets the right staff, the right situation around, good quarterback. Of course, all that comes into play. And where did he go? Go back up a little bit. I want to see where Tylan went.
Yeah, Tylan Wallace went to the Raiders.
Was it the Raiders?
Yeah, I missed him, but
I see it. I seen it. Yep, you were right.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yep, right there to the Raiders. All right, who else we got? And I think our safety's still on the board, our Indiana safety.
Oh, Cam Sample. That's another guy I was hoping might slide. He just went.
They went. Look at that. Davis Mills, Stanford quarterback, pick number 96.
Hey, they always like the smart guy.
Yeah.
Stanford guy. I mean, they want. He says decision-making is number 1, and I don't blame him. I mean, you can have the big arm. We've seen plenty of big arm guys come and go.
Yep.
But the smart ones stick around, even if it is in a backup role if they don't have the physical abilities. Oh, look, Jamar Johnson, the guy we liked.
Oh, 2
just went.
Dude.
Yep, just went. Okay. All right. So right now, I think that you get to the point where you get in the 3rd round or later, and you can start thinking more towards best player available. I mean, you got to keep your team needs in mind, but I think you can start getting towards some best player available. So what do we got at edge? We can expand this a little bit. Edge,
all right.
Safety. We got to have edge. We got to have safety. Got to have tackle. And I don't think you can bring in any more wideouts. I'm just looking at that room.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's off the board. If we spent a 1st rounder on it, I think
it's set there. Yeah, you're set there. Okay. And then I think we still have to address look, edge is a big one. You know what? Let's just leave it at that. Let's leave it at those 3. And I'm leaning towards edge if I see someone I like. Okay, here we go.
All right. So Glenn, I'm gonna have you look at this. I have an inconvenience right now. I need a 30 seconds.
Okay, you got it. All right. Now I can't move the screen now, Jimbo. So this is a lot of it is just I don't see a lot of edge guys, but let me take a look. Can you go down to matter of fact, just give me edge.
All right.
Just give me edge because I see it's all safeties and tackles.
Yep.
And let's see if we got any edge about, and then I'll talk about them for 30 seconds. You can handle your business. Okay, cool.
Right.
All right, so we got Joshua Kando, I guess, out of Florida State. Okay. I'm not mad about, let's see, Quincy Rochet. Now, that's an interesting guy. That's a guy who's been getting a lot of love, as a guy who could still be available later in the draft and still bring some immediate help to the team. So let me just look him up and see what they're all talking about. It's interesting. A lot of Miami edge guys are projected to go pretty high in this draft. I mean, Rousseau and Jalen Phillips both expected to go in the first round. Wow, this is interesting. When I pull him up, the first picture I see is him. Is that Lamar? No, that's not Lamar. He's taken down a Louisville quarterback. I don't think it's him though. Okay, so he's just under 6'3". He's 245. A little bit shorter arms, only 32-inch arms. I'm sorry. No, his wingspan is 80-inch. Actually, no, he's got long arms. Okay, I was looking at his arm length, but he's got good wingspan, 80-inch wingspan. That is not small. The negatives are he's got poor size, and I agree with it. I mean, at that size, 6'3", 240, doesn't really fit the bill as an outside linebacker here in Baltimore. Typically looking at 6'5" to 6'6", and around 260 is kind of the benchmark as a guy that can hold up as a 3-4 outside linebacker. But he's explosive, man. He's quick off the ball. He's got a mean first step. Let me see if he's played any coverage. It says he's a tough, instinctive player with average athleticism and upside. Situational player who can be used in a variety of roles on defense as well as special teams. Well, I think we all know that pretty much all these guys are going to have to participate in special teams if they want to be. Oh, that's interesting. If they want to be on the field, it says that no clear-cut guy at edge, number one guy at edge this year. And I think that kind of bodes well for guys like him that might be able to, wow one guy. You only need one guy to fall in love with you to go in the top 3 rounds. Now, he had some fantastic high school records. He had 19 sacks in a season, broke the record. They say his pass rushing, he's just got natural pass rushing ability. Kind of similar to a Hassan Reddick, which we talked about wouldn't be a bad ad here in Baltimore. Going, where did Hassan end up going, Jimbo? Do you remember?
Did he go to the Panthers?
I think you're right. I think it was the Panthers. Now,
yeah.
So we talked about, while we'd like him, he definitely brings some, he's more of a niche guy as far as he's not an all-around player in this system. He's not a guy that you're going to ask to go in coverage as well as support the run and pass rush. But, at this point in the draft, you're not going to find a fully rounded guy, right, Jimbo? You're going to find a guy that you have to fall in love with his weaknesses, right?
Right. No, absolutely. But at the same time, we're in the 3rd round. Now, this is the end of the 3rd round, right?
Yeah.
But we're still in the 3rd round where, the Ravens have found obviously Orlando Brown was a year 1. He was pretty much a year 1 starter. I don't know if he started like game 1 because I think that he had was James Hurst, I think, was starting at right tackle for like a game or two, or if I'm mistaken there, but pretty much a day 1 starter. So regardless of position, I kind of want to do this really quick and
overall?
See. Overall, my question is, are there any guys that are day 1
steals? Yeah,
just absolute starter regardless of position, right?
All right. I don't know a lot about Sherwood. Let's take a look at Sherwood. Yeah. Let's see what Sherwood explosive
6'2",
safety. Ooh,
220.
I see that summary. Look at that summary. Coveted by man cover teams. Well, who does man coverage more than Baltimore, baby?
That's a great point.
What's his size?
6'2", 220. That's a big boy.
Now, does it have any of his pro day stuff? I'm curious if it has his 40 time, because obviously if you're playing in the back end, you have to have some decent speed unless you're making that up with fantastic. Long speed doesn't match burst. Range is nothing great. Well, you don't like hearing that. But lights out tackler, only missed 4 misses on 71 attempts. So I like hearing that.
I like this. No problem manning up a tight end. Easy for him.
Easy. That's interesting. Now, you can make up for long speed because it says he has explosion if you have great instincts because you can, anticipate and get there before, your speed is quite as necessary. You don't have that catch-up speed because you're out of position. So that's an interesting guy. And, I mean, I'm not – let's see, best in space, not necessarily through blocks.
Let's see. Let's see when I go to premium stats here what it provides us with.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, let's see what this brings. Okay, whoa, all right.
Hold on a second.
All right. I'm not sure what this is.
Yeah, me neither. Okay, here we go.
Okay, week-to-week defensive grade. Let's see what he did against Georgia. Ooh.
Not great.
Coverage, though, if you look.
His coverage was good.
Yeah, good coverage that game. Texas A&M, good coverage. Ooh, Alabama.
Look at his tackling, though. 91. Yeah, wow. Alabama.
Monster, but cannot cut. And look at LSU. Oof. So his cover grades against the big guys that can really whip the ball down the field, not so good. So that's a little concerning. But again, this is late in the draft, so you're going to find guys with holes in their game, and you're hoping to iron them out. Let's see what else is available.
Yep. All right, so let's go back up here. We'll show less here. All right. And I mean, any guy, think about it, any guy that's ranked in 60s and 70s that's going at 104, I mean, there's got to be some serious value there, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Now, is there any I
think there's some intrigue at interior defensive line.
Because we got some aging guys, right?
I mean, we got two, especially you talking about Calais. What's he, 35? I mean, or 34. He's getting old, and then Brandon Williams is not too far behind him. Now, they did just get Metabike, and they did just get Broderick Washington, so you wonder if that kind of forces them to wait a little bit. Wow, look at the grade he put up. Holy smokes. Now, he played at what? Louisiana Tech? What's the...
Yeah, and this is my concern right here. Undersized with only 1 year experience along the interior.
About as lean as you'll see from a D tackle.
Right.
So go back up to the top and show his bio. What is it? Oh, 6'4", 278. Wow.
Yeah. No,
that's probably a little slight for our
interior
defense.
Guys.
Yeah, a little bit slight. Let's see what else is available. Now, Cade Johnson's an interesting guy. I don't think he's really a fit here, but dominated at the pro day. I mean, at the Senior Bowl one-on-ones. Absolutely dominated. Now, I think he's a little bit small and he's a little bit of a redundancy here in Baltimore. So I'm going to go by him.
So what about Brady Christian? Now as much as I like to hate on BYU, they had a solid line this year, and I think it had a lot to do with.
Look at that grade. Woo!
Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with Zach Wilson's success.
Dang.
So I mean, he's a big boy, 6'6", 300. Of course, he's not 350 like Orlando. Back-to-back years of pass protection. The other thing, let's see, what's his age? Do they have his age on here? That's the other thing you want to know if he's because if he did serve a mission, he's going to be an older draft pick, much more mature. In most cases, as far as like off the field, on the field, concentration, all those things. So that's another part of it as well.
One thing I just saw, he played baseball, basketball, and football in high school. I love a multi-sport athlete.
But you see that, though, Chris, is likely a guard in the NFL.
And a zone-heavy scheme. Well, that's not really –
yeah.
That doesn't seem like a fit here in Baltimore, although I do – I like seeing
Look at those grades, though.
Ridiculous. I mean, holy smokes. Absolutely
so he did
ridiculous.
Serve a mission as well. So he's going to be coming in the draft, he's probably 23.
Yeah, he's a little older, which means, look, I know that's not very old for normal terms, but that's 2 years less that he didn't have NFL coaching, so
yeah,
you gotta certainly take that into account. But yeah, so I don't think he's a fit. Okay.
All right.
Doesn't sound like a fit. Now, again, we haven't watched tape on these guys. We may have tapped out at this point. I'm trying to find if there's any guy left that we've watched tape on. I don't see a bunch of guys, but let's check.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, let's see what it looks like. Edge is gone at this point. Like,
pretty depleted. There was a serious run, and so yeah, I'm with you.
All right. So what would you say? Let's check out safety. I want to check out safety.
Yeah, that's
see
where
if there's any steals. Yeah.
Right. So I think that Sherwood, while he had some downfalls, some pitfalls in his game, I think he's a solid pick here based on what he can do and covering the tight end. Obviously, teams that we're looking to go against, the Chiefs, for example, amongst you see what what happened to Kelsey in the Super Bowl and how much that made a difference for them offensively.
It's true.
Having a guy that we can man up and contain a tight end, I think provides a lot of value. So
yeah, I like him. I mean, I'm not mad about him unless you want to trade back.
You get him at 67.
Yeah, that's a good.
And this is the second to last pick in the third round.
What's his name? Jamie Sherwood. Let me see what I can. Let me just quickly.
What's your guys' take on Jamie Sherwood? Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, let us know. And what position? Tell us. Are we on the wrong? Are we going down the wrong path here? Is there another position we should be addressing? Let's see. Jamie Sherwood. Did he sit out 20? 6'2", 220. I like that size.
Yeah, no.
Big guy. Negatives: lacks the recovery speed. Okay. Slow transitioning with opponents in man coverage and does a lot of face guarding. Okay. It doesn't. Let's see. He went to he's a Florida athlete. That's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We know we like the Florida guys here in Baltimore. They've certainly been churning out a ton of NFL talent. He did have a sack. I like that. So he's got some blitzing ability. We know we like to have guys that can do everything here in Baltimore, and blitzing certainly one thing we ask of pretty much everyone. I mean, last year, how many DBs had sacks here in Baltimore, and same as the year before?
Mm-hmm. Now, I do really quickly want to look at this guy. He's got a, Kendrick Green only because the Ravens are always looking to add to their offensive line and
go back up.
Yep.
They're saying actually, he's better fit at center, but in a zone heavy scheme. So it doesn't really seem like quite the fit, but I guess I could be wrong. Let's see. Earl got his first sack. Exactly. He got a couple here in his first season here. Victor, let's see. Slot, take Sherwood, big hitter in case Young goes down. Let's see what Sherwood looks like. I want to see. Yeah, search by corner. Let's see if there's any natural.
Oh, he wasn't
slots.
referring to Jamie Sherwood?
Oh, he might have been. Actually, you're right.
He was.
I think you're right. I think I was just
because
exactly.
you saw Young, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, then I'm fine with him. I mean, I think he would be a good player to add. I just wonder, didn't they just how long is Clark under contract for? And
he's got 2 more years left on his deal.
Was this the guy who had the crazy tackling grades?
Yep.
Well, look, this could be a guy that, as much as we like Deshaun Elliott, they'd have to pay Deshaun Elliott in a year? Mm-hmm. Whereas this guy they could grab and he's cheaper and he's still, at least according to this, would bring a lot of the same things that Elliott brings, which is tackler.
Right. It provides him with a lot of flexibility because you can let Chuck's deal run out. You can even pay Elliott while this kid's still on his rookie deal and let Chuck fall off his pay comes out and then your higher paid is Elliott. This guy's still, what I mean? So it definitely adds to the coffers at safety.
I think he's but let me just ask you to sort it once by tight end.
Yeah.
And let's just see. Okay, nothing really as far as positional value.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because we would need a more natural pass catch. That's what we're looking for at tight end because I think we got enough with Boyle and with Eric's Tomlinson as far as blockers. And then of course they got the guy from Jacksonville, unmatched want-to as a run blocker. Wow.
Yeah, that's a problem. You see that, though? Legit speed and explosiveness flies off the line.
Interesting. Elite locating in space in the run game, like a predator stalking its prey. Well, whoever wrote this up did this guy a lot of favors because this guy sounds very interesting. Let's see. Afterthought in the passing game. Oh.
Not good.
No, sorry. We like you, Tommy, but I just don't see the fit here right now. I think if we didn't just, we didn't have Boyle and Tomlinson, I like hearing what he brings in the run blocking, but
I only got one problem with this report real quick, Glenn. I just want to show you this. All right. Okay. In the right scheme, Tremble could very easily take the torch from Kyle Juszczyk as the league's best fullback. Not the league's best fullback. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. Project Pat. Shout out.
So
okay. All right. Let's go with Sherwood then.
All right. We're turning in the card, guys.
We're going to turn in the card with Sherwood. And look, if you so you're telling me we come out of the draft. Let's see what I haven't seen this. Let's see what type of grades we're getting.
All right, we got a B, B minus, C plus, C plus, B minus overall. Look, that was our first go at it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
Nah.
I mean, first of all, if we get Terrace Marshall, I mean, I'm going to be you're going to see us on. We're going to be going live during that draft, and you're going to see some excitement coming out of me. I mean, I'm going to be chest bumping. Me and Jimbo are chest bumping in the living room or wherever we're doing this. That would be exciting. And then you're telling me we get Creed Humphrey and are able to trade back and pick up an additional fourth and
now,
still get him?
Why do you think that they gave us a C+ for Creed Humphrey?
Well, because by their rankings, they had him as the 70th overall player, and we.
I see what you're saying, right? And then we took him at 64. But like you said, we picked up a pick.
And as much as they like best player available, team need definitely takes a role. We need a center, and we want a guy. Look, I don't think you have to worry about this guy throwing the ball over anyone's head. This guy has snapped so many balls. 2,500 snaps?
Yep.
So I would be thrilled. I would be very happy with those first two. Now, the third one, I agree. There's no guy that jumped out at me as like, wow, this guy would be a steal. But again, we haven't really dove that deep into our draft analysis, which we certainly will be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do with that third, because I think the first two rounds, we're definitely going to see either a wide receiver, interior offensive lineman, or certainly edge. Now, we haven't addressed edge yet, but I think we're both hopeful that the free agency will take care of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you 100% there. Man, it's going to be interesting. I get excited just walking through this. I'm excited to do a full first-round pick, 7th-round pick. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, Glenn, is there anyone that the Ravens in the first round that they pick and you say, I hate it? Like, is there anyone that
I don't think there's going to be – I think there's going to be some people that aren't going to like hearing this. I would not be a Rashad Bateman guy. I just wouldn't. I don't think –
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he plays with enough physicality. When I saw him breaking tackles, a lot of it was due to his speed and just outrunning guys and his burst and stuff like that. I worry about him. Now, I could be completely wrong. Go out and be an all-pro next year. Who knows? But to me, I wouldn't be – they lied about his height. I think they had him at 6'2". I think he actually at his pro day was barely over 6 foot. So he's a little smaller than I was anticipating and hoping. But he's got some ability. I mean, he's not a bad player. But I don't know. I would be okay with it, but I wouldn't be overly excited with a first round pick like that. How about you?
Yeah. So, man, if there's a guy, I forgot his name, and he's graded up there. We've talked about him. It's funny because neither of us liked him, but the Penn State edge rusher, I can never say his last name.
Penn State away or Jason?
Yeah, and I could see him going late in the first round based on his numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But if the Ravens fell for that trap, one, I'd be surprised, but two, I would be very disappointed. I mean, I would be pretty disappointed. And let me ask you a follow-up to that. If Creed and Dickerson are on the board as far as centers go, wherever that pick is, but when we know we're taking a pick at center and they go with Quinn, are you going to be pissed?
Well, I would be surprised because that would mean they had to absolutely love the potential, because you're not going to see, you never saw on tape him take on an NFL player. And that's the worry. I mean, you can project all you want, but it's just like you said, when people are, they have a plan until they get punched in their mouth. Well, it's a big step. It's already a big step going even from the SEC, Big Ten, all the major Power 5 conferences to go to the NFL. It's a monster step. But this kid, he's skipping steps. So I would be extremely apprehensive to take a guy when you're this close to winning and you don't really have if we had an aging center who's maybe in his last year at center, then you could put this guy on the bench, let him get with an NFL program, get a little bit bigger, get some strength, polish up his technique. Then maybe there's that. But to me, I think your win now, you need a guy who's ready to play right now. And that's another reason why Landon Dickerson's not always I'm not so high on him, because when's he going to be ready? I mean, I don't think there's any way he's ready week 1 to go in there and start, because we don't even know how many. I don't think he'll make it to OTA. I mean, he'll make it, but I don't think he's going to be participating in OTAs. I mean, he just tore it. He tore it in the playoff. So I just don't think he's going to be ready. So I'm hopeful that they can do something similar to what we did and trade back and stick Creed Humphrey, who's a day 1 starter.
Man, yeah, that's going to be really interesting to me as well, because I can see the Ravens doing that. If they trade back far enough, Quinn might be the last one off the board, even though PFF has him ranked higher over Creed based on the fact that he's small school. The Ravens could know that. Watch Creed come off the board, watch Landon come off the board, take Quinn and say, look, we got Zeitler next to you. We got, who's a Pro Bowler. We got Bozeman next to you, who's a former All-American center, been in the system for a couple of years. And then we got an All-Pro left tackle, Pro Bowl right tackle to help limit the scope of what he needs to do and allow his natural abilities to just shine, right? He's strong, he's nasty, he's got good hands. So I could see them, if they got value in waiting and had, if there were some steals that were higher value there, I could see them being patient and waiting. But if all three of them were on the board, as much as I like that the kid has gotten stronger and progressed and things like that, I agree with you. If they go with him, around that 64 range over a Creed or even over a Dickerson, I'd be pretty surprised. I don't know if I'd be upset, but I would be pretty surprised. But I also wouldn't be surprised if both of those guys go and we wait on Quinn.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't shock me. And I think even with our first round pick, while I would be elated to have Terrace Marshall, I also wouldn't be surprised at all to see them go with the guys already in house and them not go with a wide receiver until late in the draft, maybe. Yep. I mean, even because, I'm reading some reports that the team is high on Deion Kane as a future player. Yep. And we know how deep they are as far as young guys already in the building. And then they add a guy like Watkins. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they're done at wide receiver and their additions are just getting better. Like that's their view of an addition, is just, well, we got our guys and we're going to make them a lot better by the coaches that we just brought in. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them not take any wide receiver, and if they did, maybe take one late. So while I would be in love with Marshall, I can see the Ravens just going, look, these are our guys. We believe in our guys, and we believe in the coaches. We just had to make our guys that much better.
Yeah, if there's a guy there because Marshall, of course, was at the 27th pick, he was the 26th ranked prospect overall. Yeah. So if there's a guy that's 15, 10, that just happens to fall for whatever the reason may be. The only way I see it happening is if that guy is a corner, I don't see us going after. But if that guy that's falling is an edge, is a tackle, something of that nature, I can totally see it. In fact, I think that the next time we hop on, we should do one not taking a wide receiver in the first round.
Absolutely. I think we got to do that. We got to try and, I think next time we're going to try and get that edge early. I think that's key because I think a lot of people are pointing out, and we saw evidence of it when we got to our third pick, not a lot of value later at edge.
Cover's pretty bare, right?
So we may have to try and find that value, and get that pick early, and then maybe get, like I mentioned, Tylan Wallace, who ended up going, I think, in the early part of the third round. Might be able to get him, a little bit later. So I think that's interesting. But, man, I think I just fell in love with Terrace Marshall when I was watching that pro day, man. I mean, that guy looks like an NFL receiver. And you pair him with what we already have. He just seems like the perfect fit to fill in that role, that guy that we're missing. And when I see that he's that red zone ability he has, man, that's exactly what we need in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. So, but that's why I'm a fan. That's why you're a fan. And that's why they get paid to make those tough decisions. Because, man, I couldn't imagine passing on some of these guys because they fall in love with them just like me and you do.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, just like I said before in our show, we were talking about a few other people. Jenkins, the tackle at OK State. You watch somebody on tape and you're like, all right, this is a Raven. Like, I can't imagine him on another team. So certainly it's difficult, man. That's why they make the big bucks. It's gonna be really interesting. We're gonna be putting out a couple more videos here later on in this week. We're going to get Jason Pruitt back on the show, the Draftplex, to talk about his his further in-depth analysis now the draft is picking up. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Let us know all your thoughts in the comments below. And
let me just say, Draftplex, Jason Pruitt, nobody. You'd be hard pressed. Not Mel Kiper, not what's his name? What's the young guy with Mel? Mel and what's the other guy?
Todd
McShay. Oh, Todd McShay. You can give me Daniel Jeremiah. None of them. Bucky Brook. None of them are as accurate as Jason Pruitt. So when we had him on about a little over a month ago, maybe a month and a half, and he was just kind of getting into the process. But now he's much deeper in the process. I think we're going to be able to get some good information on some deeper guys in the draft rather than just focusing on the top end. So it'll be interesting to see who he has the Ravens, because, man, this guy is spot on and he nails it. So, be on the lookout when we have him on, and I think he'll give some great information.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to all you guys that participated tonight. We had an awesome turnout. It was an absolute blast. Let us know in the comments if you guys liked. I noticed that Nana Rave mentioned she really liked the simulator that we did. If you guys liked it, if you didn't like it, let us know your thoughts. Like I said, shout out to Nana Rave, Tim F, King of Pugo, always in here. I saw Tanya in here. I don't know if I'm missing anyone. Oh, Billy Seals, of course.
Yeah, Robert Pittman's always in here. Appreciate it. Trend Killer, he's always in here. We appreciate you. Tim F, he might be a newcomer. I don't recognize him, but yeah, I did see Dickerson doing cartwheels. I thought it was hilarious. I'm not sure how much that means, how healthy that knee is, because you don't do a whole lot on a cartwheel with a knee. Although my punk, I can't do no cartwheels. So shout out to him for being able to get that done at his size. Troy's always in here. Appreciate you. Of course, we appreciate everyone who didn't comment, just the silent listeners, as somebody pointed out before. Daniel Kunimoto's in here, always, showing us some love. But yeah, all the silent listeners who don't comment, we appreciate you watching.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it. I had a good time. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do, man. And I'm excited to do our 7-round mocks and just to keep expanding these mocks, because got some holes to fill, Jimbo. And I'm excited to see, what we can do to play GM for a little while,
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely, I mean, it's a blast just to be able to do that. And then also, just for any of you guys that are looking to contact us, feel free to DM us on Twitter, message us on Facebook, anything like that. You guys can find us in all those locations. But I had a blast tonight. We'll be back on it soon, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.